Good afternoon. So yesterday didn't quite go to plan. I was over there digging, trying to regrade our yard here, and all of a sudden this cylinder just started puking out oil, and it's really tough to see right now, but the wiper seal on the end of the barrel is just completely brittle, and I could chip it off with my fingers when I was just messing around with it. So now I get to do my first ever hydraulic cylinder rebuilding. So it was going to happen, I guess. The seal was failing, and it's a perfect opportunity to learn. So we got the tools coming that I needed, the specialty tools for that, and the seal kit. So should be a couple days and we'll be able to hop right on this and get the cylinder fixed up. To disassemble this hydraulic cylinder, we first need to take the gland nut off of the barrel, and I'm scraping the joint between the two, try to get all the rust and junk out before I spray some penetrating oil in there. They have a habit of rusting up because it's exposed to the elements, and it's just a threaded nut basically. It's important to break this nut free while the cylinder is still attached to the machine. That way you have plenty of weight to pull against when you're trying to break the nut free. And here you see I'm just adding some heat to it to try to loosen it up, but it's just not enough heat. Good afternoon, everyone. Last night when I was working on getting that nut off the cylinder, I was struggling with it. I don't have enough of a heat source to heat it up with by myself. So I was able to borrow a oxypropane settle from a neighbor. So it's basically like oxyacetylene, but using propane instead of acetylene gas. So we'll use that to heat up the nut, and I will use my spanner if I can, because it's a little bit more convenient. Otherwise, the neighbor had a big pipe wrench also that we could use with some cheater bars. So we have the torch, pipe wrench, to protect the chrome rod and these two hoses. I'm going to wrap these with some tin foil just to reflect the heat off of them, and that should keep everything good and safe. I'm not going to worry about these because my torch will never get that close, but these are at least close enough that the radiant heat will be enough to warm them up. And I don't really want to take them off. I don't have to, because that's the stick extend function, and yeah, I just don't want to deal with it. So let's get these wrapped with some tin foil. Yes! Oh, thank goodness. Oh, I thought I was breaking the wrench. Oh. Let me tell you, the Chinese $20 wrench, that's the limit right there. Okay. Oh, thank I'm going to try to get it turned a few times before it cools off, just to make sure that I'm not going to get it frozen back on at a different spot. Okay. Well, I think I just got the hardest part of this cylinder rebuild done. Probably just jinxed myself, but yeah, normally breaking these nuts loose is the hardest part. So the next step of the cylinder disassembly is to pull this pin out of the end of the rod here, and then we will very gently set it. I'll probably stick a glove through here so I don't wreck this chrome, because it'll land right here. And then we'll block up the end of the barrel here with just some 2x4s or whatever, wood blocking. Then we can try to pull the whole rod out so that we can rebuild that, because that has most of, well, actually it has all but one seal on it, I think, because the actual piston inside is attached to the rod right now. So I don't have all my C-clip tools here. There's a C-clip on both sides of the pin here. And I think I want to drive the pin out that way. So let's try to get this clip off here. There we go. Clips off. There's a washer, and then I can drive the pin, hopefully. I'm just adding a little bit of WD-40 to each gap that I can get to hopefully break up some of the old grease. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Looks like our pin is mushroomed on this end, so we'll have to drive it back this way. This is an axle shaft. Which worked very well because it's nice and heavy. Okay, this is really strange. It looks like it's held up on its own bushings. I'm not going to stick my finger in there. But see how the eye is offset here? I think its bushing has slid out or something weird has gone on here. And yeah, it's still stuck with its bushings. So I think what I'm going to have to do is take this nut off the rest of the way so I can relieve all the pressure on this system. And then hopefully I can get it free. At least that way, when the nut's broken free, I should be able to kind of wiggle it around and put some different pressure on it or something. I don't know. It's very strange. Normally, yeah, the bushings are worn out to the point where they wouldn't hold up like that. Yeah, very weird. So let's get this nut off. So this is going to make a big mess, unfortunately. I do have my oil catch pan down at the bottom where everything's been dripping off so far. Hopefully that's enough, but this whole thing is full of fluid. There's probably, oh shoot, 1.5 gallons or 2 gallons of fluid just in the cylinder. There we go. That's going to be a giant mess shortly. I think all the pressure is relieved from the cylinder because it is leaking out. But you can never be too careful. Always wear safety glasses when you're working with hydraulics. I also did heat up this whole cylinder, so it could potentially have pressure because of that too. You just never know. Yeah, this shouldn't be able to slide so easily. Oh, shoot. Well, I think this side would have been the easy way to do this, but I think we'll have to do the hard way and go up and take the barrel off. I don't really see any other way to do it right now. Yeah, this stinks. Yep, I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll put the pin back in here and we'll try to do the other pin. So I think I'm kind of figuring out what's going on here. this cylinder is under some tension because this ear on the backhoe, you see this gap here? Stick my finger in it. This side is tight, and it has a nice custom pin in it on it here, you see. So I think this is all kind of torqued a little bit out of spec, I guess, with this ear. And because of that, it's putting a bunch of tension on this rod. It's interesting. Up here it has some gap at the other end of the rod, but it's under quite a bit of load where I have to use a bar. It's under quite a bit of load where I need to use a bar to pull it over. So I'm thinking about doing here is undoing this pin, taking it out, and that should relieve the pressure on the cylinder, and then hopefully I can get the other end out of the eye of the rod. So instead of the C-clips, this one is held on just using one bolt. So I am, I guess, defeated for tonight. I'm going to basically ponder on this and figure out how to get this cylinder off. Yeah, I just need to somehow either get the cylinder moved over this way, try to pound that bushing through. So the bushings that I'm talking about here are hardened steel sleeves that are pressed into the bore of the pin bore, and they are basically there to protect the bore from the wear that will take place in the joint and transfer all that wear to the pin, which is easily replaced, while trying to get a bore fixed is much more challenging. So what happened with these bushings is that because there's some previous damage to the boom of the backhoe, I think it's creating some odd pressures on it and made one of the bushings walk out and basically lock the rod eye into the joint, and I can't get this free without damaging or cutting one of those bushings out. Which I don't know if that's going to work. Might have to heat that whole eye up, or what I'm really leaning towards is just taking the Sawzall with a metal blade and cutting through that bushing, because it's only hanging up in there just by like a 1/16 of an inch. So if I cut that out, then I should be able to pound this over and it should come free. But I don't know. I really don't want to cut that bushing. I'm sure I can get another one from Caterpillar, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the right way to do it. But I think that might be the only way to do it. So we'll see. I am a little bit bummed about this ear being all out of spec and bent. I guess whenever I have free time, I'm going to have to cut a new plate and weld it on and then put a new pin through here. So it really isn't doing us a whole lot of good having this all angled, because it's putting weird loads on here which are causing that pin to, or those bushings to move, and it puts a side load on the cylinder every pass, because cylinder wants to be sitting like this, which is slightly offset, and it's not basically in its neutral position when it's pinned together. So I'm hoping the barrel is okay. There should be a wear ring on there that protects the bore. So that's enough rambling. I'm going to think on it tonight, sleep on it, and we'll see what we're going to end up doing. I'm thinking it's going to end up being cutting the bushing, but we'll see. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Very rainy day, and we had to run the generator for the bus, so I wasn't able to record much actual dialogue or talking in this, so you got to see a nice time lapse of me trying to heat up this rod eye to get the bushing pounded over, which didn't end up working. So I decided just to take the barrel of the hydraulic cylinder off, which is completely backwards for how you're normally supposed to do it. The last step of the hydraulic cylinder disassembly is to take the piston off the rod, and to do that you have to take this big nylon locking nut loose. And here I'm trying to do it without heating up the nut, because heating it up normally wrecks the nylon locking portion. I wasn't able to do it, so I ended up having to heat it up and take the nut off that way. So this video is running long. We're just going to break this apart here, and the next video on this will be putting the new seal pack back together and then reinstalling the hydraulic cylinder. Should be a lot easier. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.